My name is Mel. Actually, it's Marie-Ève, but it's also Z, bird brain, Z for short. Like the letter. And I am joined today with my good friend Jack, who will introduce himself right now.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Jack Tenbusch, as you just heard. I go by Jack Rabbit online. I'm an animator from Columbia College, Chicago. Capped up my BA with my thesis film, Symbionic. Been up to a lot of stuff since, like animating music videos and storyboarding. I'm part of the art team on a web-based game my friend is making. And most recently, I'm a cleanup artist on two rad projects from Ape Ship Studios, Trailer Trash and The Warmth, which you can preview on their Instagram. Super excited to be part of them, and I'm also super excited to be part of the stream today.
And on the YouTubes and on the Twitch, I am sharing Jack's Instagram if you want to check it out. We're all going to send other links throughout the stream. It's going to be fun. As far as I'm concerned, I'm Mel. I work at Toon Boom daytime, but at night I have another, I forgot what the word is in English, but I do other stuff. I have this YouTube channel I do on the side where I teach animation and concepts and stuff. I also am a cleanup. I used to be cleanup lead on the Like a Daisy pilot. Now I don't have time. I'm just cleaning some scenes here and there because this project is amazing. You should check it out. Like a Daisy, a bunch of cats doing cool stuff on YouTube. And in the past, I worked on shows like Glitch Text, Wakfu, and Big Hero 6. Yeah, that was one. So done a bit of different things, and now I'm at Toon Boom, working on the softwares and hosting these amazing Twitch with the amazing team at the company. And today we have a very special stream. I mean, they're all specials, but they're all like special differently. So today we're going to focus on rigging. It's like the big theme, but instead of just like learning how to rig things, it's more like how to design with rigging in mind and how to use rigged animation and cutout animation to a great potential. Yeah. Did I forget anything, Jack?
No, that sounds perfect. I'm very excited to get into it.
So that's good. So as usual, little stream etiquette talk here. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them into the chat box. We will try to answer them as much as we can. Of course, we cannot break any NDAs. Like, don't ask
don't ask us about the top secret files of animation.
Yeah.
Classified intel.
Yeah, if we do that, we're not gonna live another day, right? The animation police gonna come and be like,
the stream will end instantly.
So, the stream will end. So yeah, no idea related questions.
You hear a door break and we're like, oh, and then it ends.
Exactly. And we're always there to answer questions. The stream is recorded, so it's going to be posted later on the YouTube of Toon Boom, so you can always find it in a couple days. And yeah, so stay polite, stay nice. We're all here to have a good time. And like I said, we're going to try our best to get to all the questions. Of course, there's so many, I will note them and try to reach you all later and stuff. So
I'll keep my eyes on the chats too. So I'll
yeah.
Hello to everybody. Thank you for the warm welcome.
So the project we're going to use today to show you, to talk to you about rigging is actually something special. It's a project we've been working on for a while, and it's a project that we wanted to tell into. It's like a story that we want to tell to people. And when you have a project, it's always kind of hard to kind of decide what medium you're going to use to tell it, right? And you can do text, you can do comics, you can do musical theater if you want, right? If you have the budget for it.
Yeah, screenwriting, all sorts of stuff that you can do artistically with something.
Yeah, and when we had to choose, we just said, fuck it. And we didn't choose any. We just said that we were going to do a bunch of different styles and different approach to telling our story.
We're having fun exploring. That's the kind of fun of it. It's like wherever we feel like, okay, this applies to this specific scene that we have in mind. Let's write it, or let's screenwrite it, or let's comic it, or let's storyboard it. Just go for it. We're seeing what works and we're seeing what comes together, and it's just a very fun experience. And that's why we're also rigging these characters too.
Yeah. So how we link this to this stream today is because, like Jack said, we decided to animate a bunch of our project. We don't have we don't have the power and the budget to do a full animated pilot. Wish we did. We don't. And if you followed me along on these streams in the past, you know that I always advise people when they have a project to share the project. Like, don't keep it hidden until the very end, right? So that's what we're doing. Like, we're starting small. We have, what, 10 followers on Instagram? But, you know, that's where things start. Like, you don't get big overnight, right? Unless you're very lucky. But since we're such a small team, we cannot make like an animated pilot. However, we are writing a lot of it down, like on paper, well, on digital paper, and writing it. And we're going to share, like, at first, like writing, illustrations, and some short animated bits. Like, we're talking like 10 seconds, kind of short, right? Because that's what's feasible with our current power. But the fun thing is that we are trying to be proactive rather than reactive. Like, we want to plan things ahead. So instead of having designs that are overly complicated and out of this world and super detailed, we decided to opt for something that is much more streamlined from the get-go. Because oftentimes what happens, and I'm going to show you here with some little arts that we prepared, some things that goes on here. So one of the characters that we have is called Serik, and he's a knight.
A knight of justice.
Everything he does is for the greater good, right?
It's for justice. It's for chivalry.
For chivalry. However, like, we are thinking a lot about his style. And when we first talked about this character, we were just like exploring. And, you know, it's an armor. Like, armor and animation usually don't play hand in hand, especially 2D, because like there's chainmail, there's so many like connecting parts and stuff. Like, Jack, just the helmet alone is pretty hard to play with, right?
Yeah. That's probably something to kind of get like maybe like a 3D model of at some point, just to make sure that that's super easy. But it's it's there's a lot that goes into armor, so I definitely did want to be like economic with like okay, maybe we can make it like a tabard and like big gloves and big boots and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So about like rigging and design, what we are thinking ahead is to try and have character as streamlined as possible to make animation easy. Because if it makes animation easy, it's also going to make any comics or illustration we make with these guys easy as well. So we always opt for more streamlined, because something that really happens a lot and is a big problem when we talk about rigging production, oftentimes when the rig show happens, like a cutout show happens, and it doesn't look that great, oftentimes one of the common denominator is that it was never meant to be a rigged show. Oftentimes it was meant maybe to be a hand-drawn animated series, and last minute they were like, well, actually we're going to make it rigged, so take these hand-drawn meant character or these anime character and rig them, which is often where things gets kind of messy. Because cutout animation and hand-drawn animation are two different mediums. They're all animation, but they're different kinds of animation.
Yeah, a whole different mindset involved with putting those two together.
Yep. And so yeah, so we're thinking ahead, and instead of taking our characters that maybe people will learn to know and we will design and then making them riggable, we're just thinking ahead and trying to design with rig in mind, which is a subject that we're going to touch base on during the stream.
Sure.
Anything you want to add?
Well, we have a cool kind of like evolution of characters, right? In terms of like how they initially began and how they kind of transmogrified into like good rigs. You got Ellie right here. This is the really good example. So break it down.
She was created by an artist called Robo Sardi online, so go check him out.
Very good friend of ours.
I'll try to share I'll share the link in the chat soon. But yeah, go on. I didn't want to interrupt.
Well, no, you take it because you're the one who rigged this.
Okay. So this is Ellie. She's a character created by her friend, Michael, for Rebel Started Online. And she's a little druid elf girl. She has cool magic powers, but her hair originally was like a bunch of leaves. The clothes had lots of wrinkles and stuff, and she looks amazing. But for our animation, to make it easy on the team, we went through like a first kind of pass of simplification. And okay, I say simplification, but like this is not actually the right image on the left. Because she's supposed to have this kind of belt on here, which was like and cow prints on her dress, but I couldn't find the real original picture.
Yeah.
So I found this one, right? And that's the interesting part, because she's the rig I'm going to show you guys in a second. Like I have it here. She's all cute, all turning around, and she's got some cool poses. So stay tuned. Like the rigging will come.
Rigging's coming along.
We need context, okay?
We're gushing about our characters because we really like them, but don't worry, because of the rigging.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I couldn't find this old rig of her, the one in the center.
Lost the time.
But where we really wanted to have fun is, instead of having very complicated to animate hair, since she's moving a lot, we decided to braid it in a way, like tie it up, and it makes very easy animation. It also fits our character a lot. It's really cute.
New
back then we had that too.
Like with the butterflies. I always like that touch.
Yeah. And we added like a bow and stuff. So the hair was a win. But then we figured that she had like this belt, and the belt was there because it was there, like the kind of sash that she has. And we put it there because that was the design, right? We didn't think much of it until we had to animate it, and we were like, "Oh my god, this thing is so complicated for absolutely no good reason." And because the buckle is like solid, so you have to always keep track, and you can't really make it super mellow and smooth. And the shoulder pad, and it's asymmetrical too, so you have to keep track. It limits the reuse. And then we're like, wait a second, this is our project, this is our show. Like usually in the industry, we would need to kind of deal with it because some person handling the project really insists that this thing is important, like this belt. But we're like, this is our project, so why do we keep this? And we kind of figured that we were keeping this because it was the design. And we're like, but what if we make our design evolve with the medium? So we kept that rig for a while, experimenting with it and learning from our mistakes. And then we came up with the final, like the most recent version, which is this one that I'm going to show you. And as you can see, we went with a much more symmetrical body shape because it's easier to animate. It's not perfectly symmetrical. Like we have some asymmetric things going on, which we're going to show in the rig, but they're kind of smartly placed.
It's tactical.
And yeah. And, the hair is also a bit more volumetric and stuff. And so she changed, and the change were often for animation purposes. So it's very nice to be able to think about that in the design as we do it. And we wish that more production could think about that also, because it's a big help when you're trying to animate your project. So before we dive into the rigs and stuff, we're just going to check the chat to see if anyone has any questions about this design and the process we went through to kind of simplify it and make it more riggable. So feel free to write the questions, and we're going to fall back to it in a second. Let me see. There should be a little music for when we look at these questions. Like, be right back.
Some elevator music, yeah.
That would be nice. Okay, so there is no questions yet. So I'm going to dive into the rig and talk about a few things. And as I do this, we will introduce you to this character.
Hey, Z, we just got a question.
We did? Oh my God. What is it? Read it, please.
How many modifiers are on this rig? I am guessing the dress is likely has some curvilopes, but curious to see how things are stacked. Very good question.
I like that you call them curvelopes. That's amazing. I love it.
Trademark that.
I love it.
Patent.
I should. I see where you learned to rig. Okay, so that's a good thing because we will talk about the dress a lot. And I think by modifiers, you must be referring to deformers, I think. So let's talk about, we want to talk about deformers? Let's talk about deformers. So one thing we forgot to say is that these are rigs that are, they're called deformer rigs. So they're filled with deformers. Because if you look at the parts into the drawing substitution view, most, if not all of these pieces, they only have one piece. The one piece is real. They only have one piece. Or very few of them. Like sometimes there's options, like different kinds of shading, because I can't make up my mind. We're still experimenting, okay?
Yeah, we're still R&D is still going through this one, but they all look pretty.
Yeah. But it's the second time I rig her, maybe third. So, you know, it's getting pretty close. So everything is one drawing. So that means that when you turn the rig and when you animate it, everything is done with deformers or modifiers, like sometimes they are called. So if I unleash the bees, there's so many points. And this can be very intimidating to people. But you have to understand, you guys, you don't animate the rigs with all the deformers showing up.
All those buttons.
It's the bees.
Oh God, you're right. Those are the bees. I was wondering what you were talking about, but yeah, those are some bees, all right. It's okay. I'll just find
the bees. The bees are just there to create new drawings. Instead of creating new drawings, you just pull the dots. One at a time, not everything at the same time. So how many modifiers are in this rig? I don't know. Many. The answer is yes. Yes, there is modifiers.
Ballpark estimate, more than 10.
And when I look at the dress, for example, her dress is actually very interesting because there is actually two dresses. Because depending on what she's going to do, and that's a very good lesson for anyone here wanting to learn rigging, you need to rig your character so it can do like 70% of what your animatic needs, or like what your animation needs are. For the 30 other percent, you might have to touch up the rig in the scenes, right? But in her case, most of the time, she's just going to maybe need to, we're just going to need to animate the dress, maybe doing some like just twirling a little bit, or she's gonna like move around and do like these little poses like I have here. Like it's just gonna open a little bit, pretty easy to work with. So that requires as little deformers as possible. So the way it's rigged is that there is, let me show you. The dress is just like one dress here, like one shape. And if it was just one shape, it would be a lot easier. But we decided to give it some ruffles at the bottom, like this. Oops. Oh no, the dress is gone. It's okay, she has a skirt. Oh, I unconnected it. There we go. Little cutaway thing here. So the cutaways, instead of having like a deformer that does the shape, which is the easiest thing to rig from the get-go, it's just not the easiest to animate. So instead, the dress is one big thing like this. Whoop. And then we have this piece here that I'm going to show you without the cutter. It's like a big shape here. That's the shape that cuts the dress.
It's like a little flowing river.
Yeah. And for that shape, we have a very few curve points. It's a curvelope, so you're right. It is a curvelope. And to get the dress to have a kind of motion or change it, we just animate these curves instead of having individual curves in every ridge of the dress. Thank you. So when you actually put it into a cutter to cut the big piece, you end up with these very easy to animate parts. And the reason why it's on its own part is because then if I just want to have like the angles, like the quarter front or the profile, you can just shift it across. So if she moves from front to quarter front, you can just like slide, you can just slide the piece from left to right and you get, it looks as if she's moving, like it's going to tween better. And that concept is really true for different things. We did the same thing for this kind of apron, kind of a lily pad skirt where you have the...
Oh, point out the frog. You got to point out the frog.
The frog. Not yet, not yet.
Okay.
So, like this is the dress. And then there is, as I shown before, like a dress mask where the blue part cuts the original dress, like this part here. So, you know, having a cutter like that makes it easy to just slide it so that you can get different angles. Of course, I would need to take this part as well and slide both of them. But yeah, so that's how the dress is rigged. Gonna co-choose you a little bit. And just before we move on to other things about her, because me and Jack have some things to talk about in terms of design and stuff. What I wanted to say too is that this dress actually has two versions. There's this one that I shown with like the two parts. And the other one is this dress here. It looks the same, 100% the same. Yeah, but this dress, this dress has the classic easy, like first learning how to rig kind of deformer. It's just a shape and everything is a deformer, which is perfect when I need to have her maybe like kneel down on the ground.
Yeah, more dynamic movement.
And you want to get exactly what you're looking for in terms of like how you move the dress. But in a scene, I'm going to choose this one or the other.
Yeah, it's good to have
very
both.
Rarely, if ever, use both. Yeah. Because instead of fighting with the other dress to get a very specific pose, you can just use this. Whereas for 70% of the animation, I'm just going to use the original one. Yeah. So that's it for the dress. And as Jack pointed, here is the frog dress.
Get a little bit of frog. I discovered it quite a bit after the fact. And I was like, yo, it's a frog.
Yo, we should use this opportunity to introduce the audience to our dear Ellie here. And that's something that I think we can do together.
All right, so yeah, Ellie is this wonderful, sweet little thing who is always curious about the world around her. Gets into a lot of trouble that way, kind of curious to a fault, but has some good friends to guide her along, and she does actually guide them in many ways. Kind of reminds them of innocence and having a good time with whatever circumstance is going on. And she is definitely like the big, like, I don't know, I'd say that she's like the big sort of like innocent character who is like a lens to kind of exploring the world because she's just so naturally curious about everything. And just kind of a ray of sunshine, as you can just see with her expression. She's always smiling.
Yep. I know we have her little rotation here. And for the rotation, it's very interesting because something you guys need to know about rigging, and this is a sad truth. So I am not known for sugarcoating things, okay? Your rig will only be as good as the design it is based on. That is something I learned myself. I was not a great character designer. I love to design characters sometimes, but making the turnaround, I am not great at it. It is not something I excel at. It's really not. And for a while, I was the one making the turns for these characters and doing the rig. And I was like, you know what? What if I asked for help? And I was like, guys, help me make this character great by helping me make a turn. So I teamed up with Doodle Blee, another fantastic artist, Robo Sardi, and myself. So the three of us tackled this character, and we worked on the turn together. So Robo and Doodle did most of the turn, and I did like some little corrections here and there, but that's it. And then I took their turn, and I made the rig. So then my only job was to make the rig. I didn't have to worry about the design and the rig at the same time. So the moral of the story is like, guys, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you want to show your rigging skills, but your art skills, like to design, are not there yet, take someone else's design and rig it. Like, this is if you want to get a job or something. So it is important. What else can we say about Ellie, Jack?
Let's talk about what she is to perhaps Wu.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, that's a good one. So here we have a lineup of the character, because we've shown you like some little characters here and there. And that is an important thing. When you design for a rig show or like any animation show, any project, have your characters side to side when you work on them. Is going to help them fit in a bit more. So when I was working... Yeah, when me and Jack were working on that Seric dude, we always had like our other characters on the side to check for height, check for design. And for example, here there's a chainmail, but then we're like, wait, but in our world, chainmail is shaped a different way. So I went to look at our other character. There you go. And you know, in our kind of project language, chainmail is kind of shown more of like round shapes,
very scaly.
So then, so we edited this to kind of make it fit a bit more. So like characters will evolve, and an advice also is to because it's easy on the computer to just draw something, hide it, and start over, but kind of try to leave the things there, because sometimes you can look back and get inspiration from these designs.
Yeah, it's always good to see the building pieces.
Rigging. Yeah. But yeah, so we were going to talk about that dear character that I'm going to bring in here. You've probably seen him around, because I have shown him on stream more than once, and also on the YouTube videos that I have.
Get a load of this guy.
So Wu and Ellie, the orange and green characters, they travel together, and they have a very cool, like, non-related brother and sister dynamic going on, like big brother and little sister, and it's really nice to see them go around the world together and stuff. And we have questions in the chat. I think I heard like whoop whoop. Oh, someone asked, True to Love asked, and you could do the same for another drawing layer that would be the skirt behind the legs. And that was for the rigs. And sorry, I'm going to make a little tangent here. I come back. That's exactly what I have, though. So if you look at the dress of Ellie, our little elf character, behind, it's hard to see because of the color behind. That is kind of gray. So I'm just going to go change the color card to something else.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so there is like an inside of the dress, and it's just a piece that is under. So that's how you get the kind of a depth going on here. And I just have to kind of make it fit sometimes a bit more, but that's a little thing. There we go. Now it fits. And yeah, so we always have the inskirt because it helps it looks more three-dimensional. That's a very good intervention. Thank you. Let's look at YouTube questions. Do you see some? It's loading for me.
Let's see. Did you use deformers for the mouth shapes?
Oh, we sure do. And oh yeah, to do that, maybe. Yeah, we should show the voice clip that we animated.
Yeah, we should. I was waiting for it.
Oh my God! Yes. Okay. It is right here, I think. Oh yeah, it's there. Okay, so we are very lucky because we have an amazing voice actor voicing one of our characters, and I'm going to share his link into the chat right now because I had it prepared because I'm a prepared person, very organized. I try. So this is the page for our voice actor for our character. He's very cool, very kind. His name is Adam Cunningham. Is very cool, and he provided some voice because I was like, "Yeah, we have this project, and we want to test some animation, and we don't know where it's going to go yet. We're just trying." And this is the voice that they provided, and that was recorded like 2 years ago, but we only animated it to like this year. So this was our first ever animation test with this character. And you can see that the mouth is animated with deformers. So I'm going to make it play. I don't know if the sound is going to go through. Sometimes it's complicated with Mac computers, but I really hope so. Otherwise, we will probably post it later today on our Instagram page, which you can also find in a second that I'm going to share right here. So many unrevealed stuff today. It's so great. So yeah, Bad at Being Good has its own Instagram page. I'm going to make it play. I hope the sound works, but I'm not sure. So I'll make it play maybe 2 more times to make sure, because it's a short thing. So yes, that's the first test we did. Oh my God. We were so excited.
We saw it come to life before our eyes.
Right? And that is so important because, we said it before, our project it's nothing big or anything, but to us, it's our pride and joy. Like,
yeah, it doesn't look like the sound worked.
Yeah. I know that when Jack sends me drawing of the project, I get so excited. I'm like, oh my God, that's so great. And, when I send stuff, I'm pretty sure it makes you happy. And, that is important too. Like, if you work on a project, any project, be sure that you find enjoyment in it, because fame and glory is not going to come fast usually. So just make sure that the project also makes you happy. And I know that when we released that first little thing, for us, it meant mountains. It was great. It's not much, but it was a small animation test. And just from this small test, we found so many flaws in our rigs. Not big flaws, just small little things, because rigging is very hard. It's not something you can learn from books. You have to learn by doing it.
Yeah, trial
the
by
more
fire.
You do it, oh yeah, the more you do it, the more you figure out something, because some things might work for one character, and then you put him in another character, and like, it could be a bit different. So we have this, that was our first test. And yeah, the mouth is deformers, and I'm going to show you in a second a bit more. We also have this other test that we did, a bit more recent. Same vibe. Like, we don't have another background yet, so we're just trying things. And we're like, what if we try some head turns? And we did. And we also tested like hair movement. We're not all satisfied with the hair movement, but at least it's a first test and we got it out. So I'm going to make this one play as well.
I love that. Just that sweep into the pondering pose is so good. I wish you guys could hear this.
So that's our character. And good thing that you asked about mouth, because that was something we were going to talk about too. Animation is expensive, right? Everybody can agree on that.
Time.
So instead of having... Oh yeah, and time is money. So one thing that we will probably focus is strong poses, but we're going to put a lot of the energy into the lip sync because it's not that expensive and it's super fun. So let me just go into the scene because I have it right there. And we can watch what the mouth is. So I love that face.
Ooh.
Yeah. The mouth is very important in animation because it kind of defines the style a lot. So in our case, for the mouth, it's almost always animated with deformers, except when you have a mouth like I'm looking for it. Give me a second. So many little mouth shapes.
Yeah, but you can definitely see how the style comes out and how like the mouth moves around the face so much.
Yeah, that's something we did before. It's not usual, guys. If you work on the show, please don't move the mouth around the face like that if it's not called for.
Yeah, we're swinging from left to right to center to left to right. It's part of the over animation of it, but it's a really cool stylistic effect.
And I remember when I did that scene, I would send it to you so often, be like, "Is that good? Is that good?" And then we have feedback. Feedback is so important, guys. Don't keep your projects hidden.
Yeah.
And for mouth, as you can see here, I'm gonna make it bigger. There's not that many mouth shapes. What we usually do for a project is we have a happy mouth, a sad mouth, just because it makes it easier to get these very nice corner, like when he's smiling at the end. Come on, smile, guy. Right there. So when he's smiling, to get these very nice little sharp corners, it's not as easy to do it if you have a round start for a mouth. And if it's an upside, if it's a happy mouth, it is factually hard for me to get kind of a sad mouth. If I try to pull the deformer points to create like a sad mouth, like there's always going to be kind of this little edge that is in the way. There is a way to change it and make it not do that, but then you might over-engineer your rig to try to have some like corners. And like by all means, it's not so bad even if I don't have the sad mouth, but it's just a struggle with like these little sharp angles, and the corner is never as sharp, so it doesn't look to me as satisfying. Like, doesn't look pretty. Sometimes to avoid that, we have mouths that are made in two pieces, so there would be like the bottom cutter and then the top would be like another cutter to get like very sharp angles.
Yeah,
to me it's not fun to animate these mouths because it's a lot of pieces to move, so it is very annoying and it would be more costly to do. And since we're on a budget, we're like, we're going to do something easier. So that's why we have usually the happy mouth. We have a circle mouth, and the circle mouth is for every kind of weird mouth shape you would want to get that happy and sad cannot do.
It's like a me face.
Yeah. So like the happy. And if I turn that to 0, like if I just remove the animation from here, it's just like a normal happy face. So usually we have this, and then we have the sad face. So like we try to avoid having too many options because each of these options turn out to be one deformer chain, and you cannot tween from one to the other. So that's why we have happy, circle, and sad. And if the character is overall happy in the scene, we can do most of it with the happy mouth, right? So if I go back and I Control Z a little bit, you're going to see that actually in that scene, I almost exclusively used the happy mouth, even for like the happy and the circle mouth, if I recall. Just going to go get the mouth. So like for the sad face, I just used the O shape and it was fine. And if I use the O shape, I'm going to try to keep it for as long as I can because I want to be able to tween between these mouths because this is where the rig comes in handy. Because just like in 3D animation, you can tween from your mouth shapes and stuff. So it's just the O mouth until he's happy. And then I switch from the O to the happy mouth. And then, he's going to stay happy for a while. Yeah, so if you use deformer mouth, try to limit the amount of pieces you have because it's going to get annoying if you have too many. And try to avoid too many substitutions as well.
We got one question about the mouth. Are the mouth shapes in a master controller?
Not yet. And I don't know if I probably will do it, honestly. Like, they're going to be in a master controller. For now, they're not because I have yet to do them. However, when I animate, the good thing is that once you do it's because the mouth in our projects, they're all over the place. Okay? They're never the same, and we really handcraft a lot of them. But yes, in the end, they will have a master controller. But what we're probably going to have is the basic like 7 to 8 poses of the mouth, like happy, slightly open more with like the teeth smiling, just so that they're a starting point. But when I animate lip sync with deformer, usually my technique is that if I need to do like a new mouth, I will probably take like this one, for example, and then I'm gonna find it in my node view, in my timeline, find the mouth here, and I will like copy paste it maybe here, and then start from this mouth and then just keep working on it and pulling maybe to create like a different pose. So there's a lot of reuse, and that's why deformer mouths are so great to animate with. They are harder to learn from, and oftentimes I sketch some of the mouth first and then I trace them with the deformer, so it doesn't remove the hand-drawn aspect of it. But yeah. And also last little thing about the mouth that is important to know is that when we do our mouth, we always have a double peg. And we try to avoid double pegs because you can counter animate with it and it's bad. But usually there's a peg to move the mouth around around the face. So when we do the master controller head, which I'm going to show in a second, like there's a peg that's just going to place the mouth somewhere. And then any kind of stretch motion or thing you do, we do it under another peg so that if I take a pose, I can just post it and it's going to align because of this peg. So that's where we do like double pegs in a way. Is there another question?
There actually is. Hello, you two. Super excited to see your rigs move. Don't know if you answered that already, but do you drew all the rig on Harmony or did you import it from Photoshop?
Oh, all the rig is drawn in Harmony. All of it.
Harmony has a
some of the art is done sometimes in other software, but even for sketching, we do a lot of it in Harmony because we like the drawing tools. They're just so easy to work with.
Yeah, really good vectors.
And sometimes I'm going to make a drawing and then I'll send it to my friend, and she's going to draw over it, and now we're working on her head master controller because it's not done yet. So we're drawing the poses first, and then we're gonna slap it on the rig and stuff. So it really depends. Like if we're working on like painting and stuff, like we can use other softwares. But what I want to get to, just as a quick tangent, is that the interesting thing is we draw a lot of it on paper. So if I show here, this is our first title, like logo sketch. People, I know my friend asked me yesterday what brush I use. I was like, that's paper. I just drew it.
Pen and paper.
Just pen and paper. There's something about pen and paper that is important, and like that's also one thing that is fun with our project is that we have artwork that is fantastic and done on the computer. Like, where is it? Oh yeah, like these props that you did this week. So we have these props that we did for our character, because that's it. When you do a rig show or like an animated show, sometimes people forget that you also have to do everything. Like if the character picks up an object, you need to design it. And Jack here did a fantastic job at doing these sketches.
Yeah, I was working from you on inspiration with the full kit of Woo stuff. But yeah, these are the tools of justice.
Yeah. So to answer the question, like like what things do we use to make our art? And we draw a lot of it in Harmony. Sometimes we use the software on our smartphone or Clip Studio Paint, but oftentimes also we just do it in our sketchbooks. And here I have like Woo's tools and belts and the whistle. And this was just drawn on a piece of paper, and we scanned it. And then we will probably, like when I rig his bow, because I need to do that soon, I'm going to take this probably paper art and put it in Harmony and trace over it and rig it. But yeah, when it comes to the character, they were really designed and made all in Harmony. Like there's nothing imported because everything is made from vectors. It's all a vector character.
We got a couple more mouse questions. Yeah. So Rose asks, so each mouth shape has its own deformers. It seemed like the dress had different deformer substitutions, or were drawing substitutions as well for the dress?
Okay, so that's a lot. That's like 2 questions, I think. So like the mouth, honestly, the mouth. Oh wait, but that's an interesting thing. Ellie's mouth and Woo's mouth are exactly the same because I just took Woo's mouth and I slapped it on Ellie. It is the exact same. I think it's still called the wrong thing, actually. Let me see. Actually not. It's okay, I did change the name. It used to be called like Woo mouth and stuff, but so this is Ellie's mouth, and if I go get Woo's mouth, and by the way, the names, you know, we talked about bad being good being her title, and that it took a lot of time for us to find it. This character is called Woo. It was a placeholder name. It's just been 5 years, and now we just stuck, and we're stuck with it. We don't like that. It's just there, right?
I think it fits. I love the name.
I mean, it fits. It fits now, but like at first, it was just a placeholder name. So that's a funny thing.
Yeah.
So
you never know when names will age like wine.
Like wine.
Like wine.
So that's his mouth, and then that's Ellie's mouth. It's the exact same thing because I copy pasted it from one scene to the other. No, wait, I went through the library. I didn't copy paste. I don't do that anymore. Don't copy paste from one scene to the other. It's bad. Don't do it.
Got a couple more mouth questions. Closed mouths are also an example of the ABO shape mouth that's been deformed, or was it another drawing?
Interesting. Let me just get Woo because he actually has lip sync.
An O-shaped mouth, rather.
Yeah. It depends. And I'm so glad someone asked this question because I would have not talked about it because I didn't think about it. But that is actually a very smart question. Thank you. I mean, all of you guys' questions are smart. It's just that this one I didn't think about. You outsmarted me. So the answer is it depends. If I look, oh wait, but that's the drawing mouth. Like I said, I always have like a little drawing layer where I can just draw the mouth as I test it. But for the mouth shapes, if the character has really like the mouth closed for a while, he's just maybe like emoting, I'm probably gonna go get the closed mouth shape and just animate it. Like it's just a line.
Oh, yeah, that is yeah, makes sense.
But if he's closing his mouth, I know he is in that scene. Let me just find where it is. I think it's there. Okay, there, so yeah. He went from there to there. And then there. So because like sometimes it didn't happen in that case, but it's so much easier to keep using the same mouth. So if I can, I will close the mouth by just pulling the deformers together. It works. Like you can just like put them
if it works, go for it.
Together. If it works, that's great. But if it's just if the character is completely emoting with a closed mouth, I'm just gonna use the closed mouth shape, right? But if it's part of the dialogue, sometimes it goes so quick that
it's like one frame,
right? It does the job. Yeah, it does the job just right. Like sometimes there's these little things going on, but half the time they don't show up in render, so who cares? And even if they do, if someone wants to go on YouTube in 5 years after our short premieres, and he's like, oh, they made an animation mistake, I'll be like, okay.
On their 600K monitor, they found this one little pixel of white. How dare they?
Like, yeah.
Do have one more question for the mouth. Can you achieve the L or TH using this mouth setup?
Thank you for asking. You can, and I think he does in that scene, or I think it's in the other one. But anyway, even if he does, then I'm going to show it. But he cannot achieve the F sound when you like put your teeth on top of your lips to do like, and you make like these little, this one. This is a drawing.
Yeah.
Because I could not be bothered to rig that. I can. I am qualified to make a very high-end mouth rig that can do that. Is it overkill? Absolutely. I think it's overkill for our project. You might look at other shows where they're going to thrive using a very complex mouth, and that's okay. But for us, we've tried to keep it as simple as high-end rig is going to make it possible. Because I say these are simple. These are not that much. I mean,
remember the bees.
They're not that. Yeah, they're not that simple, but they're really not complicated. I've seen complicated rig. These are not, they look complicated, but they're not. They are high end though. Like they're not like these are not what we would call like preschool show rig. Like they are advanced. If you want to animate them, you have to be good at drawing because they're not going to help you. Like there's literally one piece, right? But for the mouth, if the character is going to do like this and then this and this, you know, for a second, I'm just going to draw a new mouth. It takes a second. I'm just going to click on this button that says create empty drawing, and I'm going to draw a new one.
Yeah, it's like reinvent the wheel or just draw the wheel in for one single frame.
Look, it took me 5 seconds. I drew the mouth, and that's it. Instead of having to pull maybe like one layer for like this here, one other layer here, another. Like, no. Like for mouth, I'm just going to draw it. It takes a second. So, so that because there's like interaction and layers and stuff, and it's very precise, we draw it. We love drawing mouth. But if I want to make like an L sound, it's pretty easy. I would just maybe take like, maybe I can take like this mouth, and I would just take the tongue that has, you guessed it, a deformer, and I can just like,
Yoink.
You know, make the L sound. It took 3 seconds. Kind of. It's getting there. Yeah. Oh, if you see that your rig has some difficulties making like some shapes sometimes, sometimes it's because you just don't have enough geometry on your thing. So I think that's what I have on this tongue. Maybe I can fix
nodes.
it. Yeah, like little points.
Yeah, little axis nodes.
I think. Yeah, I could put a bit more because the tongue is very like movable. So I would often just put a bit more vector points where I know there's going to be a lot of movement. And you can see it. It's hard to see it on screen, but when I put the point, you see like it changes. It gives it more definition. It's a bit hard to see on the screen, but so for some pieces, I would just put more points, and we're going to see that, oh yeah, it behaves way better now than it did before. It doesn't mean that you have to go machine gun putting dots everywhere on your rigs, right? It just means that, you know, you can add a few more. Like for if I have like these hair here, usually like in the tips, I'm going to add more vector points organically just so that it shows up better. So I would probably be like adding more points where here because it's going to move a bit more than it did there.
Maybe something like subdivision surface, where it's like
kind of like in 3D.
Resolution.
Yeah, I think I did it for this coat. Yeah, so you see here, there's almost no vector points, and they're all gathered where there's going to be movement, which is the tips there. Sorry, I went on a tangent here. Was there another question?
No, but Rose had a nice comment. I noticed that most of these did not require weighted deform or 2-point constraints. This is helpful to see. I think I overused them, and they make my stuff too heavy.
Oh, that's interesting. 2-point constraints are used a lot for preschool types of rig, like animation, where you have to go fast, but it will not be as precise as these characters. I worked on some. I have some rigs actually with weighted deform. Let me just go get them. And as I get them, I'm going to explain some things.
Oh, we got 2 minutes.
It's okay. It's okay.
Time has flown.
I know. And yeah, while this opens, don't forget we shared the pages and stuff. You can find our project on Instagram for now. I'll post the link again into the chat. Yeah. I mean, if you guys liked it, maybe we'll try to maybe be able to come back and do like a part 2, because there was so much more we wanted to talk about, but there's so little time.
Yeah.
There's so much. Rigging is such a deep topic. But to talk about the 2-point constraints, like, you know, when I say high-end rigging and preschool rigging, it's not because one is better than the other. They're just very different techniques. For bad at being good, we're going for something that is very high quality in terms of animation. We want to push, we want to make like long, it's going to take longer to do, but it's going to be pretty in a way that it looks a bit more hand-drawn in terms of the process. Like you have to draw your poses. So for the high-end rig, like the rigs are used more of like a cleanup tool. So I have my drawings here to show the reference. Like I drew the poses first, so I'm going to show you here. Like the poses were drawn before the animation, so I didn't have a storyboard, so I just drew the poses, and then I did the animation on top of the poses. So you need to draw to animate those rigs. Mm-hmm. However, for 2-point constraints and stuff, I love to use them in my rigs where it's not about how good it looks or how fast I can make it move. And this is a crab rig I did for when I did a contract work for Game Grumps. I had to animate them in like 3 days. I was like, 2-point constraint it is, because they're so easy. They're so easy to animate. Like, look at him bounce. So this is great. Like, I don't hate 2-point constraints, but you have to know what they're used for. Bottom, that would do this, and the legs are attached to it and stuff. And if I have, all day. And I have the final here, I think. That was not planned, okay, but I can find it. I know it's there. So where is it? Do you have anything you want to add as I search for it, Jack?
Well, as we're closing up, just wanted to say that through whatever trials and tribulations that you may face with rigging or any kind of technical stuff like this, find a project that you just love and are passionate about and want to like plan smartly for, and it'll pay for itself. This is like everything that we have coming together for these Bad at Being Good characters is from a deep love for the concept and wanting to make it so we can do it with, our limitations. We're embracing those limitations. We're making it so they can be used to our strength, and that's what you got to do. Just find the project that you love, and you will be able to rise above any amount of pain through these many complicated systems.
So that's how it moved with the 2-point constraints. It's pretty cute, and it took us 3 days to do that.
I just love how they bounce. Oh, it looks so smooth too.
So yeah, so like to get the little bounce, like animating this with only deformers would have taken us way longer than it did with 2-point constraints. So for the question, it's not that 2-point constraints are bad, but I do think that if you use them for limbs in a character like this, it will be too complicated to animate in the end because you're going to be constrained. Oh my God, no pun intended, constrained a lot. However, just before we go, because it's on the subject, there actually is constraints, unless I removed them. I think I left them there. Like, I removed them. Sometimes when I do rigs, I will put a constraint like on the whole head. But I thought he did. Oh yeah, it's there. It's just not. Oh, I just renamed it. So if the character is far away, sometimes I will use this system. Let me just show it here. Oh, look at his
tiny head. A spell gone horribly wrong.
Let me just get this. Put it here. And then this here. There we go. So that if I have these pegs, then I can use the same thing I use with the crab on his head.
Crazy.
But I only use it on certain scenes because it's a quick stretch and squash thing to do. So if he's just reacting, I will use that like it's nobody's business because it's so easy to use. And I usually have it on top of the whole rig as well. I think it's just also deactivated. Yeah, it's actually there.
That's a handy thing to
have.
So
I do have constraint, yeah. So that I can use them on the whole rig like this.
We're going to see the entirety of Woo Bounce now. Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a bit heavy, so, it doesn't... This is not to use all the time, but for like little... If he's far away and he's just like, huh? What, reacting or something?
Yeah, like a very far
sometimes
shot.
I'll use it. But yeah, that's only where I use it. Sometimes if a character has very long hair, I'll use it for like a whole or very complex dress or something, and the character is not going to move that much, I will use it. Like if you look at Monster High, the show, it's just constraints everywhere, and it's great. It works great for some very specific things that are more like that stay always in that angle. If you have a thing that does lots of crazy movements, then it's sometimes not the best to use constraints. Do we have more questions just to finish? We still have like 2 minutes. I know we can go overboard for 2 minutes.
I think we're all caught up.
That's amazing. And so just to finish, we're going to give you like a little premise of what our show is, just to, you know, give you a taste. I have this thing here. So let me just go get the lineup here. We didn't talk about him, but there's also a character called Schlurbo, and he's my favorite.
A little fairy, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. That thing, that character is funny. Let me go get the lineup of the characters that I wanted to show earlier. There we go. So there are some characters missing from there. There's also Vivi. She's a very cool Gaul, and she's very nice. We just didn't have time to introduce her a lot. So these characters, there's also a character called Tetricio, which I'm going to send you a link to. Yes. We released our first short about Tetricio today. So you can also check this out. He's a little guy. He's super sweet. He has a tea hidden in his hat all the time, always ready to serve. And you can check this out. We linked it. So like, you know, some of the characters are missing because we're still working on it.
Yeah.
But basically, these characters are just trying to make the world a better place. Actually, I think you're better than me for that. How would you describe this project?
Well, as the name implies, we have a cast of characters who are trying their darndest to make the right choices in life in this very convoluted, complicated game called life. But pretty bad at it sometimes. So the whole idea and the whole theme of the show is about how the best intents don't always equal the best outcomes, but by having a lot of different people with a lot of different perspectives who are aware of how to get around certain limitations or lack of understanding for certain things, you can actually find the right path. It's just a very complicated thing getting there, and yeah, quite a few trials and tribulations associated with it. So we have Sarek, who's like following them because he thinks there's criminals, but he doesn't understand that they're actually doing a lot of good for people. They have the quote-unquote criminals themselves who are running around trying to make the world a better place and maybe not realizing the stuff that Sarek knows, like kind of like how it like messes with like the system and the order elsewhere. So it's like there's always two sides to the coin of order and chaos, and that's definitely like the big theme for their narratives. So we're really excited to keep going on them, get their more stories out there. We have a lot of really cool characters that we would love to keep talking about.
Yeah, so if you're curious, like, yeah, we have these these like hooligans that are trying to do good in the world, but in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
So they're kind of trying to be good without following the law. And then you have this character who follows the law, but without knowing is actually not doing so good. So
I want to zoom in on that.
If you want to know more about these characters,
bro, this dude has no
please
idea.
give us a follow. Oh, and by the way, we're talking about voices. Jack here is definitely voicing this character, and he's amazing.
I got to get the helmet for it.
I know. Yo, you should have Sarek tell people goodbye today as I share the link in the chat.
All right. Well, citizens, thank you for joining us on this wonderful stream. Hope it was informative. Hope you abide the laws of Toon Boom Harmony and keep harmony with these notes. Have a good day. Keep safe. Keep lawful. I'm watching you.
He's watching. Oh, that's amazing. And don't forget to tune in tomorrow, or not tomorrow, like for the rest of the week, because Toon Boom has much more streams for you planned, and we always have new things. So always check out our Twitch and Facebook page and community page. I'm pretty sure the links have already been shared in the chat. And yeah, thank you so much for being with us today. Sorry for going over time. And
we just had so much fun.
We really hope. Oh, yeah. We hope we can come back. We have so much more to say.
Yes, but thank you for your wonderful audience and questions. This was a total blast.
If you want to know more about our project and you have some questions, we will also share in the chat a link to a Discord server where we help people do animation. We have little, we have some games planned every week, like animation mentorship and workshops. So please come and say hello in these. And I'm going to share that in the chat in a few seconds. And unless, Jack, you have anything to add?
Just come hang with us. We like seeing new people. Yeah. We like seeing people exploring their crazy new ideas. And that's what we're doing. So come hang out. Come in the camaraderie of the chaos of figuring out how to do your dang story.
And I'm going to send the links right here if you want to follow us on the Discords. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye, folks.
Farewell, citizens. Stay safe.